What you're seeing here are people escaping a convention center. Now, this convention center is massive. I've been there myself. This is where they hold the Canton Fair. What happened is there was a convention going on, and somebody turned up with a red health code on their phone. Now, how it works is, in China, everybody has an app that tracks their health. In other words, if you've been into a shopping mall or an area that somebody else had been into who later tested positive with COVID, your phone will then update to a yellow code and you have to go get tested. And only when you're cleared with a negative test does it go back to green after a certain number of days. Now, what happened is somebody walked in and they had a red health code. So what they did was shut down the entire facility and lock everyone in there. Tens of thousands of people, by the way, not a small amount of people, as you can see by these crowds. 49,000 people, according to media reports. Locked them in there in order to test every single one of them. Now, these lockdowns can last for days because, of course, there's an incubation period when it comes to catching the virus. So they can last for days, they can last for weeks. Nobody knows. And that's why when people heard they were being locked in, some of them scaled 2-meter-high fences in order to escape. These lockdowns are getting crazy. But this was a precursor to what's happening now. Entire cities and even provinces have now been locked down. It's no secret that the Chinese vaccine is completely useless against Omicron. In fact, the efficacy of the Chinese vaccine has always been very low. And anywhere that it's tested outside of China anyway, it's proven that it's not a very good vaccine. Of course, no vaccine is perfect. No vaccine is going to completely save you from Omicron. It's a very contagious and very infectious variant of COVID. But especially the Chinese vaccine is just completely useless against it. The Chinese government has this zero COVID policy. In other words, they don't accept even a single infection. If someone tests positive, they are forced into quarantine. Not only them, but anyone who may have come into contact with them, and of course an entire area, an entire housing complex, an entire neighborhood, an entire city, and now entire provinces are also being locked down whenever cases are found. There have been a massive spike in infections. In fact, the biggest spike of infections since 2020. Now, China notoriously does not release proper numbers. They hide the numbers, they play them down on purpose because they want to prove to the world that they have somehow overcome and beaten COVID and they're better than the world when it comes to how they dealt with the pandemic. The thing is, they're now admitting that there are some numbers. And one can quite safely take the official numbers coming out of China and multiply them tenfold at least, because that's how it works. Anyway, that's all besides the point, because it's actions that speak louder than words here. 2 days ago, 5,154 new local cases were detected. And for some reason, they take symptomatic and asymptomatic infections and they count them separately. And I believe that this is just a way for them to bring the numbers down as well. So they can say, oh, we only had 3,000 symptomatic cases. And we don't really want to count the asymptomatic ones. But obviously, that's just a silly trick, because if you've got COVID, you got COVID. And with the zero COVID policy, whether you're asymptomatic or not, it still goes against the zero COVID policy. Right now, we all face the threat of Russian state-sponsored hackers. We're currently going through some very uncertain times at the moment. One thing you can be certain of is that your internet connection is vulnerable. Unless you're using a VPN to guard yourself, it's possible that your data could be compromised, especially if you're the kind of person who's on the road and sets up in coffee shops, restaurants, hotels, places like that. It's very, very easy for people to gain access to your data and compromise anything you do on the internet. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN, and there's a good reason for this. I actually use it. Having a VPN is that added level of security that can give you some peace of mind. Take control of your internet experience today with NordVPN. So NordVPN's been around for 10 years now, and they're celebrating their 10th anniversary. So new users will get a surprise gift when they sign up at nordvpn.com/serpentza. It's totally risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So give it a shot, why not? Other than peace of mind and security, a VPN is also useful if you want to watch a show that's no longer available in your country. Just change your region and bam, you can watch it. That's nordvpn.com/serpentza. Or just click the link in the description below. Anyway, back to the show. So anyway, as of 2 days ago, 5,154 new local cases were detected. 4,067 of those were detected in Jilin province. And so the whole province of Jilin went into lockdown. It's a huge province. I've been through it. In fact, during conquering northern China, we went all the way through Jilin. That's on the border of North Korea. This is a massive place, and they've locked the entire place down. Currently, millions of people are in lockdown across China. Langfang City, which is actually quite close to Beijing in Hebei province, has been completely locked down. And there are between 5 and 6 million people in that city. Dongguan, of course, near to Shenzhen, where I used to live, is in complete lockdown. There are about 11 million people in that city. And of course, Shenzhen, where I lived for 14 years, is now in complete lockdown. There are an estimated 17 million people in Shenzhen. Of course, that fluctuates because it's a migrant city. But the fact of the matter is that I have so many friends and so many people on the ground that I know in Shenzhen, having lived there for 14 years, that I'm getting proper first-hand accounts of what's going on. Now, the government sent out official notices to everybody. All underground metro stations have been put on hold. All buses have been stopped. All residential districts now, like your housing complex, have strict entry and exit controls. You need to get a permit to go out and buy food, and it's only valid for a short amount of time. Everybody has to get forcefully tested for COVID 3 days in a row. Who knows how long it's going to extend for. But, these are very invasive tests, and you may not refuse to get a test. You must get tested. People are locked in their houses now. Some people have got locked in their offices. Some people have got locked in wherever they were at the time.
The doers, the experts, the innovators, the game changers.